Law enforcement that was involved said, hey, well, we know it was him. Through facial recognition, we were able to identify that it was him. Now, I'm sitting here looking at this picture and these videos of this young man clearly not in the state that they're talking about. We talked to the prosecutor before our hearing we had, and I asked the prosecutor to just basically explain to the prosecutor what was going on. And let me tell you something. I want to make sure I say this, because there's a misnomer that all prosecutors are bad. That's not true. There's always going to be some not so great in the bunch, but the majority of them are great. Things didn't add up to them either, and they were able to easily get the information that we couldn't get. At the beginning of our extradition hearing, I get a text message from the prosecutor that's helping the prosecutor that's in court. And it's a picture of the individual at the scene. And I'm looking at the picture and I'm like, that is not my client. It clearly is not my client. Without a doubt, is not my client. Then she sent me the picture that they compared it to for the facial recognition to identify him as the person. And the facial recognition picture that they found was the driver's license picture. So just realize that, y'all. Facial recognition data is out here. They're in the form of any formal picture that you have taken that is a part of any kind of government entity. And all they do is they let a computer, usually an AI-driven computer, find that person and that identity. The old adage is that, you know, certain times people of certain ethnicities, people say they all look alike. Well, in this particular case, there were some similarities, but there were some differences too. Differences were the height, the facial shaping. One of the main differences is this was a driver's license from years ago compared to the way the person looked now, who was a little heavier, who was definitely darker, and ironically, and to his credit, had a bald head compared to the braids he had in his driver's license picture. We ended up going back and forth, and at the moment, you know, things were looking good. Then all of a sudden things turned, and I'm telling you, the prosecutors involved in this case were working just as hard as I was to kind of make sure that this injustice didn't stand. The judge, even in looking at the picture, was like, whoa, wait a minute. And I understand, like, y'all, the judge only has the authority that the judge has. Even if it wasn't him, this judge had no authority to kind of stop this until later on. Like at the point where we were involved at this stage, the judge's hands were tied, but the judge was even involved and said, look, I said, Judge, if it's at any way possible for the district attorney's office to go ahead and keep reaching out to this law enforcement agency to see if we can get this taken care of, because everybody can clearly see it is not him. At the end, the law enforcement agency that was involved was steadfast. No, we could prove it's him. The prosecutor kept pressing the issue. When she called me and said, look, I've done everything I can do. I can't do no more. I called the district attorney in the county in which this incident happened. And while I was talking to the district attorney and explaining everything to him and going back and forth with him, and to be honest with you, he was very sympathetic to what was going on and wanted to try to do things to help too and make sure it was right. In the process of all of that, the law enforcement agency contacted the DA's office and let them know that they were going to go ahead and withdraw the warrant, and they withdrew the warrant.